Hey everybody, Derek here to bring another video for Fear the Walking Dead. And this video is going to be my review of the second episode, which just premiered this past hour. I'm going to give my overall thoughts on it, let you guys know what I thought about it, and what I think it means for the future. I do apologize, my voice is a little bit raspy right now because my throat's a little sore, but I'm going to do my best, and we're going to get a good video out, and we're going to see how this episode was. So, just in case you guys are not caught up with Fear the Walking Dead, this video will contain spoilers. Okay. So, first off, my overall perception of the episode, I thought it was okay. I felt like it lacked a lot of the uniqueness, a lot of the suspense that the first episode has. It didn't go into as much depth with things as I would have liked, but I think that it set up a lot of very interesting storylines that are going to play a very big role in the upcoming 4 episodes that will premiere. And there has to be episodes like that. I mean, that's just the way that storytelling goes. Some episodes are going to be very, in-depth, chock full of action, everything that you might want, and others are there to set the course for that. But it wasn't terrible. I mean, I think that it fits very well overall in the scheme of things, and I think that it will be one that will flow with the story when the entire story has been told. So basically, here's what happens. The big thing that they're dealing with right now is Nick. Madison and Travis, basically end up figuring out what they're going to do. Now that they saw, Cal as a walker dealing with that situation, they realize that things really are in a very terrible position. I mean, the world is really starting to become more dangerous, and they realize that something is wrong. So they end up splitting up. Travis to go get his family, Liza and Chris, and then Madison is going to take care of Nick. So what ends up happening is Madison ends up finding out from Alicia, because Alicia at this point goes over to Matt's house, because as we know from the last episode, Matt was missing. And it turns out that he was bitten. That's part of the reason why he didn't show. She shows up at his house. His parents are away, I guess, and she comes there and she finds him in bed. He's sick. He has a fever. He's in a lot of pain. He exhibits a lot of the signs that somebody who has been bitten experiences, and he does reveal that he was bitten. So bye Matt. I mean, he's a goner. He didn't die in this episode. They left him for the ambulance. Whether the ambulance is going to come or not, that'll be very interesting, and we may see that storyline revisited later on, perhaps. We'll find out. But so Madison leaves Alicia with Nick, because obviously Nick is going through withdrawal right now. And she goes back to the school in order to get some medicine for him to basically, detox him, wean him off of the heroin. She actually, I think it's OxyContin, something like that. She gets him something pretty strong. But of course, her journey to the school, is okay. But once she gets inside, it's a little bit more of a challenge for her. She ends up going in. She finds that Tobias, that student that she took the knife from in the first episode, was there as well, and he was getting some supplies. We know that Tobias has kind of been hinting that something terrible was coming, that he thinks of this as the doomsday, that this is the end of the world, this is it. And he ends up, helping Madison, to get some supplies along the way, explaining, hey, this is the way the world is going to be now. It's going to get worse, and when the world falls, it happens so quick. And, we see that starting to happen all around them, which is going to be very interesting with the next 4 episodes coming up, which I'll get to later. But they get their supplies, they start to leave, and the principal from the school, is wandering the halls, and they call out to him, to see what he's doing. Well, of course, he's a walker, which is something that from the trailer, if you watch, you pretty much knew that was going to happen. You saw the figurine of the principal as a walker, and at some point he must have been bitten or something, as he had blood coming down his shirt. And he comes and he attacks Tobias, and Tobias actually, tries to use his knife to stab him. But of course, he can't, he doesn't stab the head at first. He starts stabbing the chest. And what I really liked, and one thing I have to say about this episode that I thought they really did a good job of for the overall scheme of things, is how it seems to be harder to kill a walker now than it sometimes is on The Walking Dead itself. And part of that reason is because these zombies are very fresh. They're not as rotted. The skin's a lot more intact. You really do retain more human qualities as an early, walker. And basically, Tobias stabs the principal in the head, and it doesn't go all the way in. It makes a puncture mark, but it doesn't pierce the skull or the brain at all, which I really like because it is more realistic. And I really like that approach that they're taking, that really it's going to seem like even more of a challenge to try to help people, because, if you try to do that and you realize it's not easy to kill a walker, you're not going to want to, interfere with these kind of things. So it does take them a little bit of time. And of course, Tobias and the principal as a walker, they tumble down the stairs, and Madison has to come to his rescue. She grabs a fire extinguisher, goes to town, and for all intents and purposes, I mean, it at least looked that way. The principal, as a walker, has been killed because he was still laying on the floor at the end of the episode. Because you never actually saw the head, cave in or anything. But I think it's fair to say that Madison did kill the principal with the fire extinguisher. This is, of course, Madison's first experience of having to kill a walker. I mean, she's encountered one, but this is the first time that she's ever had to take action, and it really does affect her, which is not surprising. I mean, you would hope that even though something may be necessary and sometimes you might have to kill, you don't want to be taking that lightly. You don't want to be taking that in any way with happiness or with pride. You don't want to do that. It doesn't matter whether it's a walker. It doesn't matter whether it's a bandit, whatever. Killing should not be happy in the Walking Dead world. And of course, it greatly affects Madison. She comes home, she still has blood on her clothing, she starts to wash it off. And that's definitely something that, she's really going to have to start adjusting to this new world. And I think this experience really is an eye-opener for her, that things are going to HE double hockey sticks. I mean, let's face it. And I think that she's really starting to get with the realization that things are going to be terrible. And they do get their own taste of at home, something that happened, which again sets the stage for these very important decisions that you're starting to make as you're quickly turning into survivor mode. What are you going to do? And earlier in the episode, you saw one of the neighbors was having a birthday party for one of their children, and then you saw another neighbor that was actually coughing into his hand, indicating that he was sick. Whether he was bitten or not, we don't know. I mean, again, we don't necessarily know all about the virus. We don't know what exactly caused you to get sick or something. And Robert Kirkman said he had no interest exploring that, which I'm okay with. It doesn't really bother me. But anyways, the neighbor that was sick, at the end of the episode, he's a walker. You don't see him close up, you see him from afar, but it's pretty clear that something's not right with him, and I would assume he is a walker, because the woman that was throwing the birthday party, she was outside screaming, and it's dark out, everything's, dark, and the neighbor attacks her in the front yard, and I don't know if she gets bitten or eaten or not, it doesn't really show, but the walker ends up on top of her, and Madison just shuts the door. Alicia wants to help, though. Alicia, wants to go out and help her neighbor, but Madison says no, shuts the door, and says no, they weren't helping. And that really shows, you're kicking into this new mode of, preserving your family, preserving your own life, and really deciding, is it worth sticking your neck out to save somebody, especially after her experience with having to kill the principal. I think, again, that's really something that has introduced her to this new world, and I think is going to, help the rest of the family as the world continues to, collapse around them, that she'll at least have had that experience firsthand before things really got terrible, so then maybe she might be able to provide some insight. But it was definitely, it got real right in that moment, that you may have to, say goodbye to your friends, your neighbors, people that you care about to protect yourself or the people that you love, and that was shown when she shut the door. But of course, on the other end, with Travis, he ends up finally finding Liza and Chris. Liza was at the house, and it's clear the two of them do not get along very well. They must have had some kind of a bitter divorce, and I really hope that we do find out the reason behind that. Was it a mutual thing? Was it Travis's fault? Was it Liza's fault? Was Travis having an affair with Madison? I think that would be very, very interesting to see in a story, especially those two women, potentially having to live under one roof. How uncomfortable would that be? I mean, it's going to be uncomfortable no matter what, but I think that I would have a worse time trying to get to know my ex's new significant other if I found out that they were cheating. She was cheating on me with him. I think that would be a lot harder for me to accept than, well, it just didn't work out and she found someone new. It is what it is. So I will be very interested to find out if they do expose that reason. But it's clear that they don't get along. I mean, when Travis wants to show up and starts calling, she just, shuts him down, like, hey, we have a custody plan. We have everything figured out. Why are you messing it up? Stop, interfering with things. Just leave me alone. But of course, they realize that things are going really terribly. And of course, Chris is in downtown Los Angeles. Things are getting really terrible down there because obviously as more and more people are dying and walkers are coming, back, and people don't really understand what's going on because this really isn't being broadcast. And you find out that, the police are shooting the walkers. And whether people realize they're walkers, what they are, I don't think they do. I don't think there's really an understanding of what is going on. But of course, even in, the world right now, we hear about all these various police shootings and how some individuals, that end up dead, maybe shouldn't have died under those circumstances. I'm not getting into that, and I'm not expressing any opinion or, siding with anybody here. But obviously, let's just look at it from this perspective. If people are getting killed, that's definitely a scary thing. Whether cops are doing it, whether people are doing it, whether soldiers are doing it, it doesn't matter. If you see these things are going on in a widespread, environment, that's going to scare you. And that's what's going on right now because a homeless man was shot, which we assume it was a walker. The man ended up dying and became a walker, and that's why the cops shot him. And people are out there protesting, and Chris is there videotaping everything. And they realize that things are really starting to collapse. That people are really starting to get angry, paranoid. They want answers. Nobody's giving them any. And of course, the cops are basically cordoning off the city. And things just start to devolve from there. We don't really get to see if certain things set the people off, if new people arrived, if somebody threw a rock, whatever. But we do see another walker come onto the scene, and a cop is forced to shoot that walker. So we see, little signs coming that, there are walkers in the area, that people are starting to come back to life, and they potentially pose a threat towards the individuals in the city. And of course, in the next episode, if we do see that there are even more coming, we see something of what we see as, or what we know as a small herd, that could be very scary. And that could definitely result in way more chaos in downtown Los Angeles than we can imagine. But as things are starting to get out of control, Travis needs to, find some safety for Liza and Chris, and he ends up finding it at a barber shop that is run by the Salazars, which we saw in the trailer. We finally get introduced to them. It's Daniel, who is the patriarch. We have Griselda, who is the matriarch, the mother, and they have a daughter together, Ophelia. We don't really know too much about them yet. Hopefully, we will learn to understand a little more about them. One thing that I could tell with them was, Daniel definitely seems like somebody who, would protect his family. And of course, he did hesitate to bring Travis and his family in, which of course you would have your hesitations with that. I don't blame him. But it was Griselda, the wife, that actually said no, let them in and close the door. And we do see that she is actually particularly religious. She was praying in most of her scenes towards various different saints, figures. I think she's probably Catholic, if I had to make my best guess. Maybe, again, maybe she feels that this is the end of times, that this is the time to really turn to God and start praying, and that's something that she does throughout most of her scenes. And right now, basically, Travis and the others are looking outside and just seeing things slowly turn into chaos. As people start to riot, people are throwing things, the cops are showing up, and we may see some kind of a big showdown going on in the next episode. So that's where it really left off, left off with a little bit of a cliffhanger. Kind of sucks we have to wait 2 weeks for the next episode. That was a little disappointing. I would have much rather they would have premiered it later than, give us a 2 week delay. But, hey, that's life. You got to roll with the punches. But again, I think that it was an okay episode. I would probably give it a 6.5 out of 10. Again, I don't think there was really a lot that stood out for me. It really just felt like it was one of those episodes that was just setting things up, and nothing really interesting made me go, whoa, other than, the Walker kill that was just, again, the fact that they are showing a more realistic portrayal of walkers, being fresh, not having rotted skin, and it being harder to penetrate that skull, I think was very beneficial, and I think that it will play a factor in these early episodes, maybe even into the second season of Fear the Walking Dead. But I think that there are good things to come, and again, it wasn't a terrible episode. It's just, again, I think that Walking Dead did a better job of following up Days Gone By with Guts. I think that was a good follow-up. I think that was amazing. It was okay, but I wouldn't have followed up with something like this. I would have at least had something more entertaining, more suspenseful going on. Really, things didn't surprise me. So I think that was really part of the problem there as well. But we'll see what the future has to offer. I'm still going to stick with it, and I hope you all do too, because I think it does have potential. It's not bad. It is very good. But we just really need to start getting to the very interesting, real kind of apocalyptic stories that we're used to maybe in The Walking Dead in order to get us really excited. I think once we get to that point, I think it's going to be even better. Alright, so I'm going to bring this video to a close. I want to thank all of you guys for watching. If you guys have any questions or comments, don't be afraid to leave them. Feel free to subscribe. I do have more videos coming. And if there are any suggestions that you guys have for future videos, please do not be afraid to suggest them. I hope you all have a wonderful evening, and thank you very much for watching.